A very good afternoon. Welcome back to Le Bornand, just above Annecy for a continuation of round 3 of the Biathlon World Cup. Dorothea Viera, who's been the star of the women's show so far this year, of course, she took the yellow bib at the end of last season, and she's had a brilliant start to this season, particularly in the sprints. She has not lost a sprint so far. This round of the World Cup getting underway yesterday with the men's sprint, and one or two surprises in front of a very, very healthy crowd indeed. Let's have a look at the highlights from yesterday. Well, the French expected to do well. They are all skiing incredibly fast under the guidance of Vincent Vitor. Fillon-Maillet, a late start, difficult conditions, came through it well, and just missed out on top spot. But he was on the podium, denying Johannes Tingesbø a place on the podium. He couldn't beat his brother though. Tarje getting into second place again. Fabulous season for Tarje Bø, remember, who won the overall World Cup back in 2011. But for only the second time in his career, Benedict Doll standing on top of the podium. Great shooting, good skiing. That's exactly what biathlon is all about, a combination of the two sports, and set the bar just a little bit too high for Johannes Tingesbø, who missed 2 targets on the day. So well done to Doll, well done to Germany at last, getting something to celebrate. Welcome back to Le Bornand. Here's a look at the course for today's women's sprint, and of course it's a fairly short loop. 7.5 kilometers the total distance, so 2.5 Ks round each time. In terms of Biathlon World Cup courses, Mike, pretty easy.
It is. You're looking at, what, 3 minutes 50, 4 minutes to the high point, turn back round, straight back down to the range, where, with this warm conditions, it's pouring with rain now, but absolutely no wind. So I think in terms of entry to this range and the conditions that we have, a very easy day for shooting. 15 at least, I think, will shoot the perfect 10. Yeah,
I don't know where they had their anemometer, but you know, there isn't a breath of wind in the stadium. It may come and go, as it often does in the mountains. One thing that's difficult today is athlete recognition. They're so dressed up, hats, buffs, goggles. We've just seen a shot of Vitozzi of Italy with her own umbrella man just accompanying her around.
What a luxury. Backup staff to hold the umbrella as you go through your final stages before you start your World Cup. Luxury.
So let's look at the start sheet, and it's Lucy Shvatova of the Czech Republic who gets away first. The Czechs going pretty well, knocking on the door of one of the top nations. So we'll see how they go. Julia Simon starts 11, very quick. Semerenko, I think we've probably seen the best of her, but I hope not. Nice to see her get another win. Denise Herrmann, Mike, one of very few Germans to survive in the team. There's been a cull.
Well, she's very lucky, and it's her birthday today, so let's hope that birthday, that luck, can bring her something in terms of racing.
Haven't seen anything from Mäkinen so far. She starts number 28. Susan Dunkley, likewise, 3 or 4 seasons ago, she was fantastic. Outside the top 50 in the World Cup standings at the moment. So lots of work for the American to do. Further down, Claire Egan. We've seen a couple of good races from her. And Elvira Erberg, Mike, starting 48, just behind Amonier, who's quick. They could be the last 2 to challenge for a win.
I think so. The big names we mentioned earlier, they're all going early. Solendal, I thought, who starts, we'll see her on the next page. It's 74, not in great form, didn't show his great strength in Hochfilzen last week, but you never know. Colombo as well, the last of the French taking off. She could well surprise us.
Well, all the French are skiing well, and if you ski well and you have a good day on the range, you're in the money. But it's not so easy. Chevalier starts at 87. She won't be too happy with that draw. Högberg, yes, she's done great things in the past. Waiting to see her best so far this season. And then I can't see anyone further down the order who's going to challenge, especially when you think that, you know, Vitozzi goes off number 3. We've got Hannah Erberg who goes number 8. Then Julia Simon, and lots of French going well. Justine Brezard, you know, she's always been quick, but I'm slightly surprised, consistently the faster skier, out-skiing Roysland, out-skiing Tandrevold. It's an amazing season.
It really is, and in fact, the last time she was here, she took the mass start victory. Her mother, father, daughter, sister, I should say, were in this crowd. She didn't see them till after the race when she stood in the podium, and they were howling with emotions, which kicked off Justine as well on the podium. So I'd love to see her get another podium today.
Well, it hasn't stopped the fans turning out. They're going to be pretty damp.
There's
Well, there she is, Justine Brezard, skiing like the wind and shooting pretty well at the moment, certainly high on my list of potential winners. And that's what's so exciting about the women's biathlon at the moment, Mike, is there are so many people who could win. Amazingly, Dorothea Viera has managed to win both sprints so far.
That's against the run of, it's very rare that that happens. I think we have to go back a few years, 2013 maybe, when that last happened, not Neuner. But I think we're going to see some surprises today with this relatively easy track, but it is all about getting 10 targets as well. Justine, famous for listening to strange music, but if it doesn't matter, it's strange to us, but she loves it. And if it calms her down and gets her psyche in the right place, why not?
Well, the camera's cueing in on Vitozzi, not because of what she's done this year, but because of what she did last year, and she really made the season with that fantastic chase. Just dying away at the end of the season. Both Vitozzi and Viera very, very tired by the end of the last campaign, and Vitozzi ending up the season in second place. At the moment, she's 19th in the World Cup, 128 points adrift of the World Cup leader. She was 4th at this time last year, so a change of fortunes for her. So the first to sample the damp conditions, and I think she'll be quite grateful for it because the tracks are going to cut out badly in these conditions. Lucy Shavatova, the countdown complete, away she goes, and she's been skiing pretty well. Her prone shooting has been what's let her down so far, but with no wind, you know, the rain on the sights, yes, you've got to watch out for that, but Mike, you know, probably the easiest shooting conditions we've had this year.
Yeah, no wind whatsoever. The gloves as well, so they finished their zeroing, the centering of the weapons 16 minutes ago, or that was their last opportunity. Your gloves are wet at that point, as Shemerenko Vita, her twin sister, starting later. So you come in with wet gloves, and it is a little slippier on the rifle stock, but also your hands, even though it's warm outside, the wet fingers, you can lose the feeling when you're racing at what, an average of 23 kilometers an hour. The fastest descent, sorry, 35, 40 kilometers an hour.
Lisa Vitozzi needs to turn her season around if she is going to challenge. 24 now, so she's got plenty of years to get to her prime, and just really needs to get the confidence back. Shooting wise, very good in the prone, let it slip a little bit in the standing. She's at around 79%. There's Franziska Preutz from Ruhpolding in Germany. She'll be looking forward to the post-Christmas and New Year period where we head to Ruhpolding for one of the big occasions of the year. Innerhofer of Austria. She's won, as has Vitozzi before, only once, but her standing shoot at the moment, Mike, a woeful 59%. You know, on a day like this, you would have thought you need 5 out of 5.
And you know what, Innerhofer, if she can hit those magical 5 out of 5 standing today, and also the same in the prone, for me, she's a podium. Yeah, she's skiing that fast.
And I think she's got to look at some of the athletes who've been missing a lot. You know, Tyrell Eckhoff, who's been hitting targets, you know, very regularly this season. If she can do it, then Innerhofer can do it. And certainly Davidova on course now. She can do it. 7th in the World Championships, missing one. Could have been knocking on the door of the podium if she'd gone clear on that occasion. And of course, finished 3rd in Östersund with a clear shoot.
She's excellent. She's only 22, as you said, but she won in Antholz, and this track isn't unsimilar to Antholz. Bendika, her best. I remember in Calgary, she started so late in Canmore, finishing 5th. But had she started earlier, she was in the last group where it was very wet. I think she may well have had her first victory that day, shooting the perfect score back then.
First of the Finns just moving into the start gate. Here she is, Mari Ada. And Ada has won twice. She comes from Ino, which is just northeast of Joensuu, up near Kontiolahti. So trains on the same tracks as Kaisa Mäkäräinen. Does she ski the same? Not as quick, generally. Not as quick, generally. I mean, a lot of her training now in the Alps, having married an Austrian, of course, but does go home regular and catches up with Mäkäräinen summer and winter up in Joensuu. Yeah, good combination. Sweden's big hope, Hanna Öberg. And it's been a good season with, what is she, third place in the World Cup standings at the moment, Öberg? She certainly is. Yeah, it's just about consistency. Fifth to second in the pursuit in Hogfilsen. That certainly helped her case. It did, but when we look at her performances back home in Östersund, the first World Cup, she was off form for me by 40 seconds, 50 seconds. Much better last week in Hogfilsen, and I think she knows within herself, and the way that the Swede skis went yesterday, she has a real chance to win today. Yeah, and I think the consistency is the key. That's something that the Germans have not had so far this year. In fact, they've had nothing to sing and dance about. Preutz now just starting. Fourth in Östersund, the best German result we've seen so far, but then she dropped to 54th in Hogfilsen, missing 3. Just shows you how important the shooting is, Mike. If you miss 3, you're in danger of not qualifying for the pursuit. Certainly are, and last week's performance in Hogfilsen in this race, the sprint, was the worst in German women's sprint racing, and 3 of the 6 athletes who raced last week, Mark Kirchner, sent them back to the IBU Cup. A quick replacement from 3 of the best performers, the Germans, at the IBU Cup. So some new names in for Germany today. So no messing about. You need to pick up your performance. You're down a division. Simple as that. Yeah, well, he wants to turn things around. Yeah, he's got to take a tough stance. And of course, with Germany getting a win yesterday with Döll in the men's sprint, things are starting to look good. Julia Simon, another very, very quick skier. She was only 11 seconds outside the fastest time in Hogfilsen in the sprint. That, of course, set by her teammate Brezard. And if Simon can cope with the pressure of being at home and the thousands of French fans here, then it could be a big day out for her. What about Vitozzi coming up to the 1.5? It's a solid looking start from Vitozzi. She's going to get the green light, and 4.4 to play with. What a simple track, Patrick. I thought it would be 450 to this high point. Clearly quite icy still with the salt having been put on. So that's it. You climb all the way up. Off you go back to the range. Yes, there's a few more little bits and bridges to negotiate down towards the stadium. Very simple course. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the pulse rates are coming in. Sometimes we get a view, but there's going to be so much water on the watch faces that I'm not sure we're going to be able to read them from the camera, but hope so. And normally we're looking at 165 as they settle, coming down to 155 by the first shot. We could be looking at the 130s, 135s. And some of them, Urlova, who starts later for Russia, bib 24, actually, she'll be up at a pulse of 185, 189 when she releases her first shot. Incredible. I like the way Marketa was skiing way over to our left, her right, and keeping to the harder part of the track that hasn't been broken up, and it's working. 8 seconds. 8 seconds, that is a very handy margin when you consider that she's started after Vitozzi. We'll wait for the first of the French to come through. Simon started 11. Justine Brezard, incidentally, starting 18. She'll be away any moment now. But let's have a look at the range. Shavatova first to start, first into the chute, as you'd expect. Now, last week, she was only 29 seconds off the win, and that was missing 1 shot, which accounted for 26 seconds round the penalty lap. Now, with all the moisture, Mike, I know they've got mats down, but does the snow under the elbow collapse a little more in these warm conditions? The mats are pretty good, so you've got a sticky surface on the mat, and that helps. In the old days, when we lay on the snow, you absolutely knew that you were lying in a puddle. from toe to chin. Waterproof underwear? It was definitely required on these wet days. Now, one of the quickest athletes in the field, Tandra Vold, who, you know, top 15 seconds or so probably given away to Brezard and Royseland, But if she shoots clear and they make mistakes, then she will be the one they're chasing. Lisa Vitozzi, 3 seconds to play with. She had a 4-second lead going through the high point. Change of the sights already, and there is a little bit of wind blowing through the stadium now.
Interesting. I didn't expect that. So she clicked it, 2 clicks left, so accounting for a shift of 6 mils in the fall of the shot. Didn't
Scrappy shoot.
Do you know what? She's lost. We were talking earlier, and she's lost the clinical accuracy she had last year, and I think that's a whole lot to do with confidence.
Everything going wrong. Everything going wrong. That first shot, and obviously a mistake with the reloading of the rifle, and then she can't get the rifle back on her shoulders. Innerhofer, smoother drills from her so far, but 5 seconds given away to Shabbatova on the tracks. She can make up for that. 15 seconds, pretty average for the first shot. Average of 2.5, 2.6. That's a solid shoot, like that.
Safe, as you say, and no point in speeding it up too much in these conditions.
Tell you what, Davidova is flying. This could be a challenging target if she can clear 5.
She's always that 7 seconds to 11 seconds slower than the fastest on the range. Looking better today at 18.9 to first shot.
Yeah, that's fantastic. 13 ahead coming in. She's lost a little bit of that advantage, but she's still going to get the green light. And she's got 3 seconds, so 10 seconds slower than Shabbatova in the range. That's a little bit of a surprise. Now, Vitozzi, when are her fortunes going to change?
Even the drills, Patrick, normally the rear sight, it's opened prior to that. She forgot it, so she's not in the zone where everything flows automatically, and that's when you shoot your best, almost without thought.
Yeah, she was one athlete who lost places in the pursuit last week. Now, Ariada, 10.4.
Struggling a little there, and look at the amount of time she's losing. 7 seconds in that shot, and it didn't work. Normally your pulse drops, your breathing is more under control. Mari Eder, that's a real pity for her. She needed 10 today.
Now, big moment for Sweden, but have a look at that time. 18 seconds down and a miss. It's not going to happen for Hannah Urbo.
Well, there was me saying that the Swedes, they nailed the speed of the skis yesterday. Very different conditions today. With the suction of the wet track, you really need good runoff of the humidity on the base of your skis today.
So she'll be over 35 seconds adrift after her first shoot. Preutz now might, I know it's very early days, only the 9th athlete through. Are the course conditions changing already?
I don't think so. Marketa, we saw Davidova, we saw her staying way over to the edge, and most of the rest have skied up the middle of the track, which has been used in the warm-up, so it's broken up. I think Marketa probably was the clever one, and just picking up on that icy section at the side of the track.
Well,
we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think what's going to be interesting is whether we see nations who do well, because these are slightly extraordinary conditions. It's extremely wet out there, and 1 or 2 teams may just crack the base preparation. And if that's the case, we'll see a whole team skiing fast.
It can happen. We saw that in Östersund with the French men's team in the individual race.
Julia Simon at 18.4.
Unbelievable. I find that hard to believe. The way that Julia started her race, her intent was to push hard, and we know that when she's on good form, which she was last week, she's normally top 5 ski time.
But I think if numbers 15 through to 18 find themselves 15 seconds adrift, Mike, we can make an assumption that things have changed drastically in the early stages, because we've got Herman, Tandrevold and Breza, who are 3 of the quickest women on the tour.
Well, exactly. Julie Simon, when she realised that her time was way off in entering the range, almost 20 seconds, she really snapped it fast on the range and made a lot of that time back.
But as I was saying about teams, Mike, fastest 2 into the first shoot, both from the Czech Republic.
They've got it right.
Nikolai Shemerenko joins a list of those who've missed one, and they're big names. Bitotsi, Erberg, Takizaki of Japan, who's really blown her chances. Now, let's have a look at Breza. Quickest on the tour in just about every race so far this year. 7.9 behind at 1.5. Well, you would have expected the local team to get to nail these conditions. It's not unusual to have you know, blazing sunshine one day and rain the next.
It's quite, I mean, you only get, what do we get? One race out of 30 where it's pouring rain like this. So the technicians, this is the one condition where they're less experienced, if you like. They know what -1 is like, they know what 0 degrees is like, but +5 and very wet track, they're not that used to it.
Okay, Herman is a little bit closer to the business end of this race.
Both the girls wanting to make it happen today. She's got the ski speed. Normally, if she gets 9 to reach the podium.
Now, as we mentioned, the bulk of the German team demoted to the IBU Cup, and transfers have been made. Herman gets 5, that's much better, and they're in a lucky position, Mike. They can demote someone knowing that they've got some talent on the IBU tour to come up. I always thought that was a bit of an issue with the British team. You didn't push someone down to the IBU Cup. You didn't have anyone good enough to take their place, or who was qualified to race World Cup. So the better skiers in the team, even if they were producing rubbish results, were still safe.
Yes, you need a system like the Norwegian system, the German system, where you've got, but then you need massive funding to have a full team, full coaching backup support at IBU Cup and at Junior Cup. So you need 3 levels of coaching and 3 levels of backup staff.
Tangervold giving away nearly 10 seconds to the Czechs and Germans. Herman coming out with a good time, 7:06. She's got a 6-second advantage, despite the fact that she was slower than Shabatova coming in. So Denise Herman producing her best shoot of the year. Davidova's 6:09 coming into the range area, still the fastest. I'm waiting, looking forward to seeing Yislava. Now, what about Justine Breza? She has come in, and she's 7 seconds down. So she was 8 seconds behind at the top of the hill, Mike. So she's managed to maintain the speed on the way down. And in these soft conditions, the uphill breaks up more than the downhill.
It does, but Davidova, we know she's a little bit like Makarainen. She's a specialist, loves steep hill climbing, or loves the uphill terrain, and maybe that's where Davidova.
Crowd getting behind Breza. They like what they've seen. They're not going to get the green light, but Breza is still very much in this race. Lisa Bitotsi missed one in the prone. It was a very first shot that went wide. Can she claim the next 9? She does. That's much better, and a complete change in the facial expression when that shoot was completed. Probably a sigh of relief as well. So Shabatova's lead of 15:21 is going to be bettered, not by a huge margin, but let's hope that gives Bitotsi a little bit of spark for her final lap. Marketa Davidova, 5 in the prone, 5 in the stand, and she could be on the way to a victory because she's skiing very, very quickly, 48 seconds ahead coming in, and she's going to exit with a lead of, what, around 35 seconds, Mike? Maybe a little bit more than that.
Well, that is brilliant. Has she got the pace now, having hit a very hard first 2.5? And I was saying that, you know, her hill climbing is her strength, so she really needs to pick it up now, up to 1.5 kilometers. Nielsen, he's happy with Persson on the scope. I think Lynn Persson can reach the podium today, but she needs 10 out of 10 on the range.
Well, there you see the standings at the first shoot. Denise Herman leading the way. I would say advantage Marketa Davidova because she's already gone through the stand and hit 5 out of 5. Herman's standing shoot is not something that you'd put a lot of money on. 22 is Selena Gasparin, and if there's a woman who likes racing here, it is her. She won here back in 2013. Her first World Cup win, I think I'm right in saying.
It was.
And then, of course, she produced another top 5 in 2017. Top 10 would be good today.
She's got a very small, very narrow foresight, about 3 mil. So when you cover your target, all you're seeing is black. You're not seeing much white around the target, which helps the brain decide, but it's working beautifully well.
That's a very nice shoot, and she's the 12th athlete to go clear. As we watch Preutz on her stand shoot, 12.5 outside. She's got the second fastest time into the range. So,
do you know what we've seen so far, Preutz and Hermann, they really have lifted their game this week. 41st last week was Hermann, and I think 54th for Preutz. But she's still missing 2 there.
Yeah, 2 misses. You suspect that she's going to be outside the top 30, and that will make life pretty difficult for the pursuit. Dampen spirits? I don't think so. I think the crowd will be pretty happy with the fact that they've got Brizat and Simon still in the top 7 after the first shoot. Not so many through the second shoot, but Davidova with 14.29, a massive 39-second lead over Lisa Vitozzi.
A little spin left, then spin right, then left again down into the range. It's an unusual entry to the range.
No. Big moment for Simon. Best she's done so far this year was the individual race in Östersund. She could have won it, missed 2 on her last shoot.
That's put her off. I didn't see what happened there, but I think she ejected live round. She'll have to hand feed a spare one. Nope. Just didn't push the bolt all the way forward. It did put her off, though.
What was that? 5 to 10 seconds thrown away. Because of that, she's come out very hard. She's got a penalty loop to do, and is going to be at least 30 seconds, probably a little more than that, off the pace of Davidova. But that still has her in a position to, she'll go into the top 3. Well, it's a good thing they laid down so much artificial snow prior to this race. Not sure what the forecast is for the next couple of days. I think everyone getting a little bit complacent with the blazing sunshine yesterday and cold weather in the early part of the evening. Place of Makaraya, 8.2. That's okay. That's okay. Still, in terms of her entry, she's in the top 5.
You may have noticed her struggling there, pushing the bolt forward. That's the trouble with this rain. It's taken her 21 seconds. She couldn't push the bolt forward. You've got all this humidity, all the water in your bolt, and it's much harder to push forward. And that's why we're seeing the athletes struggling at times.
Keep an eye on Hermann. First person to get anywhere near challenging Davidova. Remember, Davidova shooting the perfect score. So Hermann now in trouble. 1, 2.
Confidence is like Preutz.
Yeah, we saw Preutz miss 2, so an extra 300 metres. Dorothea Vera on the range for the first time. 5 out of 5 will keep her in the money, but 14.5 behind. Davidova's and Hermann's and Shabasova's first loop, incredibly quick. Vera, one thing she has done this year is improve her ski speed. Here's Tirolekov, 20 out of 20 in a pursuit race to win in Hotfilson. You saw the look of joy on her face when she achieved that. She won't be so happy with that 4th shot. It's gone wide, and suddenly Tirolekov from a green light gets a red one. Tandrevol, solid this year.
I was just about to say her shooting has been almost impeccable this year. Then she missed her 3rd shot. Now she's got to ski her way out of trouble. But she wants to win.
Well, 2nd in the World Cup standing, Tandrevol, and you know, she's there because she's being consistent. Well, she had 3 top 4 races so far this year. The first sprint wasn't good, down in 25th position, missing 2. But the way she skis, and with only 1 miss, she's looking for another top 10.
I think she might even move slightly further up on this course, maybe a top 5. Good to see Vitozzi having hit 9. She would have loved the 10 and looking a little sparkier.
Yeah, I was going to say, good to see her fighting. That was the first really aggressive bit of skiing I think we've seen from her this year.
And I think we did see a smile after those 5 standing going down. Quite right.
Well, she's going to go ahead of Shvatova, which is a good comeback from Vitozzi. Had a lead of some 12 seconds coming out of the range. She's maintained that. She's not going to win, and she's not going to stay in the lead for very long, because look at the time that Markita Davidova has produced. It's an absolute stunner. 45.9 inside Vitozzi of Italy. And so we have a new race leader. The Czech Republic lying 1 and 3 at the moment.
Oh, look at this.
Reza goes out with the perfect shoot. No wonder the crowd were responding to that.
Do you know what? This is the venue with the greatest pressure, and it was the venue where Justine, just gone out there in the lead, took her first ever win. And in fact, she only has had 1 further win since then, which was 3 weeks ago in Östersund this year. Dunkley, she seemed to adjust the sights left and then decided, no, wrong way, then adjusted them back to the right. Let's hope it's spot on. The rain is, this is difficult. Doesn't really affect your sighting through the sights to the target.
Generally takes
one
breath in between each prone, Mike. Most people who do that get the round away within 2.4, 2.6 seconds. She's either got very big lungs to fill, so it takes a bit longer. But, you know, that 3.2, come the end of the shoot, that's 3 or 4 seconds lost.
Lynn Persson, a long time to the first shot, but hey, why not get your breath back and get comfortable? It's a safer place to be. She's not cross-firing, is she? Oh, no. 17 is going down. I thought she was cross-firing onto 17, but she's not. She really is struggling. She's pushed so hard on the track, she can't get hold of her breathing. Costing her that middle shot and the 4th shot.
What do the masters do, Mike? Racing in your 40s, 50s, 60s. How do you get a clear sight picture?
Sighting isn't affected. Do you know what I found horrific is that I cannot get a sequence faster than 55 seconds. I cannot get the breathing under control. Used to get it under control in 15, but it takes 35 now. Just so unfit.
Fialkova 5 out of 5. Yeah, I thought that was one of the most amazing things with Bjorndalen going so long. Let's see how Erdberger's done. 2 misses. She knows that that's you can't make up for that in these sort of conditions on this sort of track with no wind in the range, and well beaten by Davidova. Kreutz into the last 150 meters. Quite like the finish here, because if you attack that little downhill, you can certainly gain a second and a half over the last 50-60 meters. Kreutz, no real sprint being produced, 37.1. And Mike, we rarely see sprint finishes as such, where someone is giving it 100%. Yes, they're tired, but I've always believed that whatever state you're in, you have a sprint in you.
Oh, to the end. Here's Julie Simon.
Yeah, this is more like it. And this is what we want to see.
Breza out on the track. She had 3 seconds. She's now got 6.8. She should be coming through the 6.5 kilometer marker soon, and I think she'll extend out more.
Well, Simon still in 6th place after the 2nd shoot, so if she's had a good final lap, she might find herself in the top 5 at the end of the day. She's outside Davidova, but she's going inside Kreutz. So 2nd place for Julia Simon, and that will certainly give the crowd something to cheer. They will be back. They'll be back tomorrow, because 2 pursuit races on the card tomorrow. The men's, of course, with Benedikt Doll, who'll be leading first.
Tandrevold, that's her moving into the middle of the track. She's not going to be far off Davidova's time, and then Breza is further down the track in the background there. She's going to improve that, I think, by 8 seconds.
Now, Tandrevold, competitive again, Mike. Perhaps not the shooting score she would have wanted, but she's going to be, almost guaranteed she'll be top 10 again, and that will certainly help her cause. Dorothea Vera, the Italian, where was she after the first shoot?
First shoot, oh, she was perfect shooting score, 11th place, 12 seconds behind. Mironova having another fantastic race.
Breza up to 6.5, just another kilometre to go, and whatever she has here, she should be able to hold on the way down. 9.8 seconds to play with.
Wow.
Advantage France, and Davidova has seen that on the big screen in the stadium and knows that her chances of staying in the lead are pretty slim. You don't see someone like Justine Breza throw away a 10-second lead with just 1K to go down the hill. First 500 metres is easy, Mike. Full recovery before that final sprint. What about Herman? Into the finish now. Is she going to get Davidova? No, she's not. But certainly she's going into second place. And that is, so far this season, the best we've seen from the Germans. So they got a victory yesterday with the men. And Denise Herman putting some pride back into German women's biathlon.
That's a much improved result, isn't it? Even missing 2 targets, twice round 150 metres.
Big moment for Vera. She's lessened the gap between herself. She was 12 behind. Suddenly it's gone back up. So she's not going to win 3 sprints in a row, and she's probably not going to finish in the top 10 either. Well, that is a twist. A painful twist for the Italians to watch as we see Tandrevold in across the line and into 3rd place. So Davidova leads, Herman 2nd, Tandrevold 3, Simon, the best of the French at the moment, in 4. But we know Breza is charging towards the line. Here's Mironova, who's one of the top 10 fastest skiers, usually about 20-25 seconds behind ski speed wise,
so
but
close.
that is good. That is fantastic. Pretty much unseen, Mironova, and she clears 10 and challenges for the lead. Justine Breza now, she is going to take the lead. Have a look at this. 10 seconds clear at the top of the hill. She has put the afterburners on over the last K. 14.3. That's a phenomenal recovery.
Do you know what? That's the rain is falling heavier and heavier. It's almost creating ice particles, and I think the conditions, surprisingly, certainly in the journey back down, are becoming faster.
Well, skiing fast is not a problem for Breza, but hitting all 10 in front of her home crowd, really, really impressive.
Bialkova
could spoil the party.
She really could.
She could spoil the party. Needs 5, no doubt about it. This is where we find out if she believes in herself. Stayed relaxed, threw it wide. It looked like a good shot, but Fialkova's chance has gone. Now, Amonier.
Would you have bare hands today? I certainly wouldn't. That's cold on the rifle. Might be affecting her.
What's the tape on the fingers?
I'm not sure. I heard she's had an injury. It's not to do with squeezing the trigger. It's just a 500-gram snap of the trigger, just above 500 grams. Well, Celia Amonier, that's her chances of a top 10 gone.
Tyrell Eckhoff on the charge, 5.7K skied. Now, Eckhoff, after that second shoot, she was still up in top spot. So she is chasing Justine Breza. Now, Breza was quicker than Eckhoff in the last sprint, Mike, by some only 4 seconds. But in fact, if Eckhoff can turn that around and out-ski Justine Breza, that would be a big surprise.
Huge surprise. And you know what? Any athlete that's given the information that you're 3.6 seconds off first place and that will react to it, this is the one who will react. Tyrell will fight and then keep on fighting.
Yeah, and if you give me your top list, your top 3 athletes on women's tour who are fighters, you know, going back, I'll put Tora Berger right up the top, but Tyrell Eckhoff for me wouldn't be far off. She's
in that same elite bracket where if you demand something of an athlete, they'll try and give it. And Berger used to do that in almost every race.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Trying to think in the women's field, you just need to forget the pain and smash through the pain walls and trying to see someone else. Tandrevold is like that when she's in good form. Just there's plenty. Uschi Diesel used to do it, the German athlete.
Yeah, I was thinking, but she never really had the tempo that you used to see from Tora Berger and certainly from Tyrell Eckhoff. This is Lynn Persson of Sweden, and 1:45. Oh my goodness, lots and lots of work to do. 45 seconds of that certainly was spent on the range by missing 2 targets, but a minute slower than the best. Fialkova.
Well, we saw her big sister disappointingly miss the 1 shot. and lose that first place possibility.
Still in the top 6 though. Paulina Fialkova, 30 seconds behind at the last split. We are now really, as we watch Selena Kasparin, Mike, without those 2 misses, still would have been a pretty good time. But her run of success here in Annecy Le Grand Bornand has come to an end. Remember, she won this back in 2013. It's what you might call a Driech day back in your home parts.
Very Driech. I used to love these days. You only get them 1 in 25, 1 in 30 days in World Cup racing. But a lot of people react badly to days like this.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to bother Eckhoff. 3 seconds behind coming out of the range. 0.3 of a second behind Brezard at the last split, coming up to 6.5. Now we've got to remember, Mike, that Brezard was phenomenally quick over that last kilometre. So you sort of think that Eckhoff is going to need a lead of what, 2 or 3 seconds?
It's going to be close, and Brezard is fabulous in terms of cornering and carrying energy out of the corners, but so is Eckhoff. She's got 2.1.
2.1 to play with. Away she goes. Yeah, she needs a lot of help, and if there's one team that has coaches everywhere, it is the Norwegians, so she'll know exactly what she's got to do. Ski speed on this descent, so important, Mike. If your skis aren't good, you can lose, what, 4 or 5 seconds on that one descent.
So much in depth. Well, there's Brezard, it's Marketa Davidova at the moment, but that's going to change.
Which way is it going?
I think it's Eckhoff. The Norwegians rarely make mistakes in the skis. They're always in that top bracket. So, yeah, I'd say that Eckhoff will do this.
Naughton, who has been in the top, she was 37th in the first sprint, but 21st in the second with 1 miss. So she'll be knocking on the door of the top 20 come the end of the day. Not bad. She's going places. 24 now, so probably looking another couple of years before we see her very best. Lena Heike, great skiing. That's a fabulous ski time. 46 seconds behind. She will have spent 50 seconds on the penalty loop. She knows she's got a win in her somewhere.
It's close, Patrick. It's so close. You have to be able to hold the nerve when it comes to stand shooting.
Here you go. Here you go. Till Eckhoff. Those big white teeth are gritted now, and she's just got another 10, 15 metres of really hard work before she breaks to the right and down into the stadium. And I think Justine Brezard has seen it. 16 seconds to do the last 100 metres. I think even you and I could manage that, Mike. It's going to be the lead going to Norway, and Justine Brezard, her dream of winning here Le Grand Bornand, will have to wait another day. Eckhoff gets the fastest time, and just looking back to the early stages of the race, I can't see anyone else who is going to challenge that. Starting number 30, Eckhoff has produced an absolute blinder and is now on the verge of winning 2 World Cups in succession.
What a magical form period she's having now. Can do no wrong. That's even missing 1 target, so she skied her way out of trouble here. And Brezard, of course, hit the perfect 10. Brezard will be so disappointed. She really pushed hard on the last 2.5, but it wasn't enough.
Dorothea Vera, well, this is damage limitation. Look at that margin. And there's no doubt that her lead at the top of the World Cup standings is going to be slashed dramatically today. 16th place at the moment, 119 given away. I think the fight had gone after those 2 misses in the range.
Uncharacteristically missing her target, she took a pause, a much longer break in between shots, put her rhythm out, and then she tightened up. She seemed to panic a little, and from all the athletes in the field, she's the athlete who can hold her nerve and not get too stressed, not get overexcited, and stick to routine, but not today.
Yeah, Vitozzi, if she's got anything to cheer about, she's the best Italian at the moment today. 32 is Paulina Fialkova. Threw away her chance with that 1 miss in the stand. Take away 25 seconds. She was looking at a top 3, certainly. I'm not sure she would have beaten Eckhoff or Brezard. 1 penalty loop after the stand, Mike. How much do you think you lose as a result of doing that loop? How much do you think you then lose on the final lap of 2.5?
I think, honestly, if you hadn't gone around that penalty loop, I think you're 3-4 seconds, because you're frustrated. You've had a little fatigue coming off the circular penalty loop, so it is a factor.
Öberg, big moment for her. Not only could she get herself in the top 10, she could beat her sister as well. Her sister, of course, the Olympic and the world champion in the individual discipline. This will be a confidence booster. There it's gone wide. Struggled with the pressure of the pursuit last week. So Elvira Öberg, the sister of Hannah, missing 2 in the stand, and that's a real shame, because she was looking at a top 10 finish had all the targets gone down. Caroline Colombo, can she do anything to challenge the current leaders? I don't think so. Interesting, Mike, that our current leader in the finish was, what, in 2nd place after the stand shoot, and all the way down looking for Eckhoff after the prone shoot. She's down in 23rd position.
Colombo, one of the few athletes who can't or lean the rifle. She leans it away from her, and that's fine if you do it all the time, but it hasn't worked there. Shot 4 going wide. Frank Bidur just marking down so that he can inform Colombo later as to where the shot went.
Maren Hammerschild done some good racing on the IBU circuit, and actually that ski time is very respectable when you think how late she started. The track's very soft. I mean, it's lucky, Mike, that the hills here are not that steep and the corners not that sharp.
They're not. Look at this. I know Maren has had a lot of World Cup experience in the past and Olympic experience, but that is really bad in terms of her shooting scores from last time she was in the World Cup, her performance at the IBU Cup, and maybe that's World Cup pressure.
Yeah. So 600 extra metres, what's that? 8% of the race distance added to her as we watch Lisa Teresa Hauser come out. Good shooting, but what's happened to her ski speed? 45 seconds behind coming into the range. Still puts her into a top 15. So I think Hauser at the end of the day will be happy, but there must be some concern in the Austrian camp as to what they've got to do to get that ski speed back.
And some teams were not used to these conditions. We mentioned it earlier, and the Ukraine team today, Pigrushna, shooting the perfect score. We'd expect more, I think, than 47 seconds behind Tyrell Eckhoff, who missed 1.
Well, there you see Eckhoff at the top of the standings, 20:27 the lead time. What a pursuit we're going to have tomorrow, because Eckhoff, Brezard, 2 of the fastest women on the tour. We haven't mentioned Roysland so far today, Mike. Just checking.
No, Roysland.
Did we miss her?
No, she's not starting today.
Not starting at all, so no Roysland tomorrow, and that's going to damage her World Cup standings.
Huge point loss, potential.
Yeah, she was lying 4th in the World Cup.
What a great feeling and confidence for Tyrell Eckhoff, having raced so many seasons at World Cup and then getting for the first time the perfect sequence of 4 shots. She's never cleared 20 out of 20 before, and maybe that's unleashed, allowed some more power, if you like, to come to her game. She won't want World Cup racing to stop for Christmas. It's going that well.
Well, if that's her 8th victory. I was just trying to work out if she's ever won 2 in succession before. I don't think she's got anywhere near it.
A chance tomorrow to make that 3 in a row.
Yeah, that will be a real test, won't it? And if she shoots like she's been shooting, so she's been hitting 90% of the targets in her last 3 races. Yeah, 3 misses from 30 shots. So I think she'll be happy with that. But the key was hitting 20 out of 20 in last Sunday's pursuit.
Lisa Teresa, only one of 7. I know there's only 50 athletes, 53 going through the range. Only 7 who've shot the perfect score today.
I think she needs to train with a metronome just to try and up that tempo a little bit. She's a big, tall woman, so lots of glide, but it looks so old school.
It does appear. I know what you're saying, but she's on the edge. But Tyrell had a much more dynamic compression through the poles. Julia Zima.
Yeah, Eckhoff tends to stay a lot lower on the steeper sections. Doesn't waste time trying to stand up, just keeps the arms and legs turning over. As we watch Zima, can she clear 10? This is not bad. If she can stay 27 seconds behind, she's going into the top 5. But add another 25, and suddenly she's fighting to stay in the top 20.
Interesting, it's rare that you adjust your sights in the stand. It's a much bigger target, but she accounted for about a 12mm shift movement to the left.
Well, maybe it was just a psychological thing, but it seemed to work.
Hey, if that helps. Selina, the older sister of the Gasparin, 3 sisters in the race today. She's hit the perfect score.
Selina lying in 21st position at the moment. Sulumdal, who has been shooting pretty quickly. Not really the conditions for her. Oh, what a shame about that 5th one. When you look through the race analysis, Mike, interesting to see that those who shoot quickest generally aren't on the first 3 pages of the results sheet.
Well, that's Elisa exhausted. All the athletes are, even though it's an easy descent down towards the finish. It's never easy in a World Cup race.
Hauser fighting for a top 10, and she's got to keep the deficit to less than 48 seconds to achieve that. So she's got a bit of work to do on the closing stages. Vitozzi at 56.9. Does she squeeze in? Yes, just 0.3 in front. So top 13 at the moment for Hauser, but with a clear shoot, you'd expect her to be closer, a lot closer to the leaders. And I'm just wondering what sort of condition the tracks are in, and how much that is worth per lap. Probably 4 or 5 seconds per lap at least.
Yeah, I think it has to be broken up. The descent back to the stadium from this high point, in a way, yes, the athletes now are less, are lower ranked than the Group 1 and Group 2 athletes, but I think the descent is still pretty good into the stadium. I was just looking for other names and athletes. Dunkley, the two American girls who have finished. Dunkley's missed 3, and she's 2:28 behind. She'll be hard pressed to make the top 60. And Claire Egan, 27th, 150 behind.
So the younger of the Urbergs with a top 25 at the moment. So she's certainly going to get a start in the pursuit, which is good news for her. The more experience she gets, the better. And Monnier across the line with a good score. Number 49 for Norway coming in. Thekla Brun-Lee, 121. So she goes top 21 as well. Yeah, it's going to be quite a compact start. Between 15 and 25, 15 and 30 in the pursuit. Not much time between them. We'll let you know the margin between the 1st and 60th position. Obviously 60 relevant because they're the last person to qualify. Normally, Mike, we're looking at a margin of 2:30. On these tracks, we expect it to be around 2:15. But with Eckhoff's ski, it might be a little bit bigger today. Hauser, 13th place, held on to her position at the last split at 6.5, and the Austrian, I think, will be relatively happy with that. So what do we got? 5 of the top 10 with the perfect score. Denise Herrmann, she's back in business. That's the quickest ski she's produced today, this season. 2 misses, still comfortably up in the top 5 positions. She's 29.7 behind. So 1 miss, and Denise Herrmann would have been challenging for the win. And with 1 less penalty loop, she might just have given Eckhoff a run for her money.
Love the technique here from Justine Brezat. Beautiful flexion from ankle to knee, and so balanced. I know she's a good alpine skier as well, but Wonderful balance. And I think it was raining much heavier at the start of the race than it is now.
Yeah, I wonder if that's had an effect, because there was the first 10 skiers seemed to do the first loop pretty quickly, and then everyone was 15-20 seconds behind coming in just for a short spell. And Brezard certainly affected by those conditions earlier on. You can see just how heavy the rain is. It's sort of half wanting to snow. I guess we call this sleet. And not for the first time, conditions playing a major role in a biathlon race. Perhaps the two most famous have both come in Olympic Games. Nagano with Oliana Bjorndalen, and then again, of course, when Vincent Gay won in Vancouver back in 2010. Högberg, 18.8. Yes, you see, producing pretty much a similar time to Brezard on the first lap.
Högberg just struggling with her trigger finger there. It's as if she hadn't opened it up, or in the wet conditions, or the slit glove to get your flesh, your finger out. She had to bite it to pull the glove off. And she'll be so disappointed. Racing well at IBU Cup. That's why they've brought her into World Cup. She'll be disappointed with only 3 out of 5.
One of the differences with this game, Mike, is a precision sport. When it goes wrong, you don't know where it's gone wrong. You know, if you're throwing darts and you hit a 1 instead of a 20, you can see for yourself exactly what you've done, and you can make the necessary adjustments. Here, you just don't know. But how accurate are you in your feel of where the round went?
You absolutely know when you flinch, so you preempt the shot. You've got this nervous twitch, and it's a very light trigger. So you've pulled about 400 grams. You've only got 100 more to snap, so the brain can release it. So you know that goes high left or low right. But no, if it's a windy day, you haven't a clue, because your sight picture's great. You look up at the flags, you then make decisions. So yeah, no feedback whatsoever. You're not allowed any information while you're shooting. You are 50 meters after the range.
Too late.
Tough luck. And of course, you're allowed info as you come into the range, but not 50 meters, sorry, 100 meters prior.
Good looking shoot from Chevalier so far. Lovely, lovely. Just what she wanted. 14.3 to the first shot. Took a good 0.8 of a second longer than average, so 33 seconds is not the fastest shoot by any means. We're seeing some of the women clear the prone shoot in under 25 seconds. Kadurish, Baudry of Canada, very quick shooting last week. And in the stand, it's even quicker. Mikkonen of Finland, a 20-second shoot in the last sprint. Sulumdal was quick. Julia Simon, the best of the big names, 22 seconds for the stand. When you started, the average stand shoot was closer to 30, 35.
Yeah, it's difficult to compare because you had much less depth in terms of the rifle. You're only on 9 centimeters now. You're on 11. And
what you're talking about there is the stock, and therefore the way you supported the rifle.
Yes, so now you've got this handhold where the rifle barely moves when you recock. In the old days, you were balancing on your fingertips, so you can't really compare like with like. We were also, in the old days, shooting on the snow, so your skis were moving around as you were shooting, seriously.
Any more excuses?
Not making excuses, still nailed them.
So Emma Nilsson of Sweden coming in, 2 in the prone. Recovered well on the stand shoot, but damage done at that stage. Now, 137 behind. She's going to miss out on the top 25, as you can see. She's going to get herself a start in the pursuit, I assume. 99 starters in all today, and 149. I can't think of an occasion where getting to within two minutes of the leader has not led to a start in the pursuit. And at the moment, actually, Mike, the margins between first and 60th are pretty huge. Now, here is Kadurish, who I mentioned shot very, very quick last time out. She produced a 25 second shoot in Hogfilson. Not quite as quick, I don't think, but 31.3 is not bad.
Sandra Flunger, one of the few women coaches there lined up on the range. She's Austrian, but training the Swiss team, and I think she's done a fantastic job. She realized they had to get a much bigger, larger base of endurance training. She realized she had to absolutely pick up their shooting speeds. She's achieved both of those, and the team is lifting so high on the back of that.
There are your top 10. There won't be too many changes, if any. There certainly won't be any changes to the top 3. Looking down at the first shoot, no one starting outside the first 50 has got into the top 20. Chloe Chevalier was the closest at 21, having started number 87. And then at the second shoot, further down the line, you know, 50, 51. Hauser started 51, she's in 12th, and could well be the last challenger to a top 10 position.
Kamila Zuk, that was a pity, missing the last shot. It's broken her spirit. She would have been here at around 20 seconds behind, which would have put her into potentially 5th place. And that's how expensive it is to go around the penalty loop. 150 meters, accounting for 26 seconds today on average. Hetish being brought in, replacing the disappointed athletes from last weekend, the German athletes. She's missed the last shot.
Well, that's a shame. We saw her in Oslo last year, her first World Cups, and I think she did the same on that occasion. Shot 1-0 and finished down in 44th position. If she goes clear in the stand, I think she's going to be higher than that. So there could be a best in the sprint. Her PB is 32. That might be a little bit too tough to match. Now this is when it all goes quiet, Mike. The French have pretty much all completed their run, except for Chloe Chevalier, and we'll certainly know about it when she comes in.
There was only Joanna Reed, bib 97 left, and then Boronina, the Russian, the 24-year-old from Ekaterinburg left, and then Nadia Moser from Canada, 22-year-old from Canmore, still to come in to shoot prone. Now, I mentioned Ekaterinburg. Who's from your memory cells, who's the most famous biathlete from Ekaterinburg? There's Rico Gross, one of the most famous German male biathletes. As a coach now. So Ekaterinburg.
Well,
Sergei
Chepikov. It's winding the clock back a bit.
I think Kamila Zuk later this season will show us a podium, maybe once, maybe twice. I think she's got that potential. She's shown that her strength at Junior World Championships. And often when you can win at a junior, yes, you've been developed well as a junior, but you still have to control all the pressures and the mindset to get a medal, to win a medal there. She is only 22-year-old.
Yeah, she raced well in Salt Lake City last year, got herself into the top 6 with a clear shoot, and actually with a clear shoot today, you can take that deficit down to around 45. She would have been comfortably inside the top 10. So, as you say, lots of potential. What about Sulumdal? She's done it before, and only 2 wins in her career. I would have thought she'd had more than that, but the last 3 or 4 seasons have been tough. A spark of the old form we saw in Östersund at the start of one season, but again, health problems have been an issue, Mike, and you know, as soon as you put in a good bank of training and then your health goes, all that's gone.
That's annoying, and I know Sulumdal has suffered over the years, and when you push your body so hard, it's the same as all athletes, track and field athletes, all athletes, where you're trying to be the best. You've got to take yourself to the edge of your limit, and often you go over without knowing it, and you lose some time.
Best Norwegian of all time in terms of the women's tour?
I think Poiré, Liv Greta, springs to mind.
Ahead of Tora Berger?
Yeah, I think the stats...
Who would you rather have watched racing?
Yeah, Tora. No, Liv Greta, yeah, I think more medals, more World Championship medals.
Yeah,
and
hugely successful in '94, Oberhof World Championships with Raf, to-be husband, cleaning up as well.
2004.
What did I say? 94. 2004.
But then go back to the early 90s. I'm trying to think of the other outstanding Norwegian at the time. Try and get her name.
And Zuk 1:10 off the pace. That's not bad. She's going to be right in the mix at the start of the pursuit. Eckhoff will be a fair way down the track, but she's going to have a lot of big names around her. Chloe Chevalier, can she make it 10? We haven't seen a clear shoot for a long time. Go on. That's nice. Great control, good discipline to hold for just over 4 seconds for that last shot. So often that results in a miss. 38.4, it's a slow shoot, but Chloe Chevalier has brought the crowd back to life, and she'll come out with around a deficit of 50 seconds. Can she race for a top 20? That would be a fabulous result. 19th at the moment, and the clear shoot really what's going to keep her and her coaches happy. Difficult conditions. The snow conditions have to be worth at least 25 seconds.
And Sulim Dal, you saw her stumbling there. That's because the ski marks, or the skis, they're only 4 centimeters wide, are pressed into the snow. So it's lumpy and bumpy.
Yeah, and the wetter the snow gets, Mike, the more energy the snow absorbs every time you push off. The bigger you are, the more that affects you. So this is a day for the really light figures, the 45-kilo skiers.
Yeah, floating over the surface.
Yeah.
But I suppose you can compare it to running in sand. It takes a lot of your energy as you press the skis down. I've remembered the Norwegian athlete from the 80s, Anne Elvebakk. But it's all about Eckhoff today.
So the top performers today, Davidova, who had a very, very early start, shot the perfect score and set what looked as though it might be a time that couldn't be touched. She skied that first lap so fast, but Justine Brezard, again, shooting clear, lost a lot of time on the first loop. That has cost her the win today, no doubt about it, but recovered brilliantly. Lovely stand shoot, but must have been a bit depressing watching herself being chased down by Tyrrell Eckhoff, who came out of the range 3 seconds down. She's come home with a 6-second advantage.
Well, I respect the fans here, Patrick, in Le Grand Bornand. A few of them have left now, but earlier this was packed with people all the way around the track. 2.5 kilometers.
Yeah, big moment for Chloe. .50 seconds at the moment to stay in the top 20, Mike. She needs to stay within 1:16, so that should be possible. How's the mark doing? Well, she's already lost a little bit of time. Goes to 1:03. Coming out of that second shoot, she was down at 49.7, so wow. 14 seconds gone already on that last loop.
Look how wide she's taking it. The best line was on the inside, but it's so chopped out. I know you need to take the apex quite wide, but she's trying to find better snow.
Yeah,
and it's not much left.
And it doesn't matter what you do to the skis. They are not going to glide as quickly in this as they were earlier on in the day. It's not been easy for anyone. That's certainly true. But the later starters will have been cursing their luck when they saw their start position. 96 of 99 starters today. Christina Rieder, and the Austrians, the best they've got is Lisa Theresa Hauser, who's still lying in 13th place. You know, with a clear shoot, like really, Hauser should have been top 5.
I think she'd be disappointed. She would have expected that. I think we'd expect her around 30 seconds, which would have been, well, 29 is 5th place, 31 seconds behind is 6th place. Yes, I think she'll be a little disappointed, and she will be looking at tomorrow and thinking, she's one of the best when it comes to the 20-shot sequence. She'll be thinking, I can move up. I can move up from a position 13th, possibly up into the top 5, maybe a podium tomorrow.
So Rieder for Austria in for her second shoot. Should say that there's a really healthy mix of nationalities on the top 15 leaderboard compared to the men's, which is all France, Norway, Russia at the moment. Norway are there, so are France. Russians missing out on the top 15 at the moment, but we've got Slovakia, we've got Bulgaria, we've got Ukraine, we've got the Czech Republic.
I must say, Christina Rieder, her attack on the skis was looking strong, and this is a growing team, the Austrian team.
Actually, the Russians do have Mironova in the top positions at the moment. Just missed her flag. but they'll be happy with that. And Krioukou is there for Belarus. Now Chevalier lost 14 seconds in the first 750 metres of this final lap. Top 20 has come and gone. And she's not going to gain any time on that descent either, Mike. It's like soup.
No, the skis is a disadvantage without a doubt, starting so far back. The coach on this corner, he'll be telling her that she needs to try and stay top, well, I was going to say top 30. She'll be hard-pressed to pull that back. In fact, the coach is gone. Oh, no, there he is. You need to get your information. It used to amaze me when I was racing that we never came to France for a World Cup. So yes, the Olympics were there in '92, and then it was a further 21 years until 2013-14, the next time World Cup or Olympic racing came to France. They said they weren't interested, you know, it was a lot of organising, you have to put a lot of money on the table to organise a World Cup, but I think we alluded to it yesterday, when you see the fans around the track here, they love it, they can't get enough of it. I know the team has grown so much in stature since the early 90s.
Yeah, it does make you wonder whether you should look at the positions in the World Cup, the nations that are doing well, and the top 5 nations automatically get a World Cup the next season, because the reason the fans turn out is because the French have done so well over the last decade. You know, ever since Raph Poiret was leading the way in world biathlon, the French have been interested. Good news is that we're coming here next year and the following year. That is already confirmed, and hopefully it becomes a regular. Who loses out as a result? Well, you could argue that Pachuca have had their fair share when you compare it to the success of their team.
Yes, I agree. I mean, there's not a fixture here in terms of a range. They have to make the stands. Most other A-class venues have got the stadia in place, but not taking anything away from Le Grand Bornand. It's a fantastic venue.
So Chevalier, who was knocking on the door of a top 20, look at that, drops down, almost struggling to stay in the top 40, 1:47, and she lost a full minute in that last 2.5K, and that's no fault of her own. The worst of the conditions, starting in that last group. She'll be begging the coach to put her into Group 3 next time round. But 2 things to consider. One is the pursuit. Top 60 go through for that, Mike. There won't be any change in the conditions, although if you start behind and it's as soft as this, the course will cut up pretty rapidly.
I think it will, although there's only a 2-minute 22-second gap from first to 60 starting tomorrow. I think you're right, all the traffic of 59 athletes ahead of you in soft conditions will mush up this track. And
by the time you get onto the second loop, everyone gets the same. Yeah. So early starters, your Eckhoffs and your Brezars have really got to capitalise on that and try and gain a 5-10 second advantage over the rest on the first loop. And then on Sunday, the first mass start of the season, top 30 in the World Cup standings get to go. We won't know who that is until the end of tomorrow. And of course, we get the best performance from the last couple of races here as well. Yeah,
I think Janina Hetish, very good performance here from the 23-year-old. She's only done a couple of World Cups. That was end of season last year from her good performances in the IBU Cup. She's going really well for a late starter, and I think she might have won her ticket to the World Cups after Christmas. And that's the pressure World Cups if you're German. Oberhof, then down to Ruhpolding.
No British races here. Any news with Amanda Lightfoot, who had a couple of good IBU races recently?
Fabulous, getting better and better. I meant to say that earlier, but we changed picture. Amanda came 12th last week in Ridnow in a 60 athlete start in a mass start, and a fabulous performance, only 1:17 behind the top Russians. Russia 1 and 2, Italy 3rd. So top end racing, and I think that would translate to a World Cup of certainly a top 30. So good World Cup points, so she's in that category, and I hope we see her after Christmas in the World Cups. Oberhof, Ruhpolding, and then later the World Championships. She will have earned her points to make the World Cup and can come in the second trimester.
Well, we'll look forward to that. The programme after Christmas a little bit different from normal, and that's due to the fact that the World Championships are going to be held in Antolz this year. So we start the Biathlon Trophy events as usual in Oberhof. Expect some wind, expect some fog. Hopefully they've got decent snow. They've got snow at the moment, but that doesn't mean anything coming beginning of January. And then, of course, we head to Ruhpolding for one of the loudest World Cups of the year. And then we go to Pachuca, who stand in for Antolz, Antiselva. And Antolz is going to be the World Championships after that. That should be a great occasion. Vera and Vitozzi will be hoping that they just gain a little bit more consistency.
Hettish exhausted, but as I said earlier, a very good result, and probably won her inclusion after Christmas. But second best German today. She's in, sorry, third best in the top bracket there, in 23rd place. You mentioned the British team, and of course there's juniors racing now in the Junior Cup, which is a recent invention to help nations. I see the Swiss are doing very well, Italians and Germans of course, and Scott Dixon is down there with a couple of athletes who are racing at the moment. Takes time and money to develop athletes. Wouldn't it be a luxury to have, like Austria, Germany, schools that dedicate education and skiing or biathlon? And it's hard to compete against the nations. All the top nations are doing that. Very hard to get in there when you haven't developed to that kind of depth and numbers. Christina Rieder, and Austria was one of the last, along with Switzerland, to develop women in biathlon. 11 years ago, the 5 biathlon and cross-country schools were developed, and these athletes are coming through from that development all those years ago. Well, the rain certainly has backed off or stopped almost entirely, but the damage has been done to the tracks. This is how it looked earlier for the earlier group.
Tyrelekov starting the day in 7th place in the World Cup standings. She's going to go up to a total of 167 points with the second win here. And that should just push her into the top 5, might even be 4th position. She'll go ahead of Reuseland, who was 4th but didn't race today, so is going to miss out on points today and tomorrow. The World Cup leader still Dorothea Vera, but by my calculations, put too much weight on them, I think she's going to be about 15-16 points ahead of Tandrevold, who picked up a healthy quota of points today, finishing 6th. And of course, Justine Brezard helps her cause, goes on to 173 points, which will have her just 1 place ahead of Tyrelekov at the end of the day.
Boronina, good shooting. Look at the clock, she's not going to make the top 60 to start tomorrow. That would have been her aim at the outset of today. And only missing 1 target.
Top 10, Mike. Only 1 athlete who started outside Group 1 has got themselves into top 10, and that was Pigdrushna of Ukraine. Shot clear, still 47 seconds down.
Only 11 athletes shooting the perfect score. I thought we may see 15 today.
Also, the crowd get 10 out of 10 for endurance because they hung around. Horrible conditions here in Le Grand Bonnat, but the reason being that Justine Brezard is on the podium, so they're waiting for the ceremony. Well, there's lots of winter sport going on. There's lots of alpine skiing that's not going on at the moment. A little bit unfortunate, but let's just get confirmation of the standings. Eckhoff gets her 2nd successive victory For the first time, she's won 2 in a row, and that's 8 wins to her name now. She's looking better and better, more and more confident with the rifle. Brezat of France in second place, consistent season for her. And Davidova fulfilling what we said at the beginning of the season, that she looks so much better. A podium finish for her, finishing just ahead of Russia's Mironova. And Denise Herrmann, best news for her this season by a long way, and I think she has confirmed her place in the German team. Hard to leave someone out who's as quick as she is, Mike, but the shooting still needs work.
Missing 2 in the stand. She certainly had the opportunity to win today with missing the same as Ekhoff. Missing 1 target, she could have pushed Ekhoff's time.
Baudry of Canada, the Canadians getting all their success in the relays, as are the Swiss so far this season, but she's got herself into the pursuit. So of these athletes, Elizabeth Hugberg will be the last to start, 2 minutes 17 behind. Slightly smaller gap between 1 and 60 than normal, but that's not unusual here. And Monnier misses out, Susan Dunkley misses out, Sanfilippo of Italy misses out, and so work to do. Yeah, Anaïs Bichon, what's going on there? 4 misses, that tells you the story. But the day belonging to Tiril Ekhoff of Norway, another 60 points in the bag. Well, ski jumping, the qualifying from Engelberg, and we are getting closer and closer to the 4 hills, so perhaps the next couple of days will give you an indication of who is going to be crowned King of the Tournée just after the new year. Well, let's hope the conditions in Engelberg are a little bit better than they've been in Le Grand Bornand. Let's just a quick reminder, Marketa Davidova, so light on her feet. Yes, she had a perfect start, going very early on, starting number 5, but great shooting from her. All 10 targets falling, only 20 seconds off the win. She's young, she's fast, she will believe that one day she will be the number 1. Justine Brezat relies on her speed. Today, it was her shooting that was really outstanding. Difficult conditions, home advantage, but home pressure as well. She coped well, leading the French team.
Win. You must be the happiest person
after success.
Yes, I guess I am. It's really nice to do such a good race in this
Only
condition,
beaten
so I'm very happy.
by
Can you tell us a little bit about how tricky it is with the rain
a challenge,
to do
she will rise to it. 3 seconds to close down on that last loop. She made it look easy.
In rain the whole summer because we're from Norway, and
almost 10 seconds gained in the last 2.5K, and the conditions certainly weren't easier for her than they were for Brezat. So Ekhoff, 2 successes, and Mike, that's
anyway, you did
29 of the last 30 targets that have fallen. Never short of a smile and a laugh. Tiril, she's not far off. Lots of water out there on the tracks, but definitely better to start early rather than late. Well, that's all from Le Grand Bornand. We will be back tomorrow. 2 pursuits, both for the men and the women. The men going first, having had their sprint event yesterday, and it will be Benedikt Doll of Germany who starts. Tiril Ekhoff, of course, will lead the women's pursuit. Can she do it 2 weekends on the trot and hit 20 out of 20? The odds aren't good, but when her confidence is up, her performances are up as well.
Will start soon. Ladies and gentlemen, from our ceremony for Biathlon World Cup, Annecy, le grand Bornand, sprint women. Les médailles et les fleurs seront remises par Medals and Flowers will be given by Max Cobb, the executive board member.